The NBA trade market continues to get crazier and crazier with every passing season, with the asking price from teams looking to move value players becoming astronomically high with a ton of draft capital and young players, and oftentimes you see willing teams to shell out multiple picks for non-superstar level players like it's nothing. And as we are now just days away from the NBA trade deadline, it'll be fun to see which teams sell big versus those looking to be big time buyers in an attempt to go all in. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at some of the biggest trade targets on the market and the asking price, at least what has been reported anyway, for some of these players. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy the content, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a video, and in return, I'll be providing more NBA content like this all season long. Now, it's important to note that this past offseason, the trade market around the NBA had quickly shifted in terms of sellers and their expectations of what kind of return they would want in a trade. When teams saw that the San Antonio Spurs got 3 first-round picks for DeJounte Murray, or even Rudy Gobert, 5 first-round picks for him, Donovan Mitchell, 3 first-round picks, and multiple young players, and a lot of these picks being either unprotected or very light protections. So after these moves, it completely changed the landscape of the NBA in terms of what players' values were worth if these types of players were garnering that much capital in a trade. So now, leading up to the trade deadline, players who are on the trading block or rumored to be on the move, the team's asking price for said players is kind of getting out of control. And I want to start with OG Anunoby, which, for the record, I love Anunoby's game. Would love to have him on my team. Dude is a hustle defender, super quick, reads passes so well, can force turnovers better than anyone in the league. And the best part about OG is, to go along with his defense, he's improved his offensive game immensely since entering the league. Came into the NBA, not a high-level recruit coming out of high school, went late in the first round in 2017, primarily just known for his defense, suddenly evolved his game on offense to becoming a versatile scorer, can shoot it from outside at a high clip, but can also create his own shot and getting to the basket. And then, of course, he's also still young, only 25, just entering his prime, and you would presume he's only going to get better based on the progress we've seen from him every season thus far. OG is also under contract for the next 2 seasons after this one on a fairly team-friendly deal relative to his production, making under $20 million a year. So don't get me wrong, there is a lot to like about OG Anunoby and what he brings to the court, but the asking price for the Toronto Raptors is borderline delusional. It's been reported that the Raptors are seeking 3 first-round picks for OG Anunoby, and the word is they want these picks to be unprotected. Keep in mind, the Spurs got 3 first-round picks for DeJounte Murray, and the Jazz got 3 first-round picks for Donovan Mitchell. Yes, it included other young players, and one of them has obviously flourished on the Jazz and Lauri Markkanen, but as good as OG is, he's not on the same level as guys like Donovan Mitchell and DeJounte Murray. Both of those guys are all-stars, and I don't think we can say with confidence that Anunoby is going to become an all-star level player in his career. Now, yes, this could just be the Raptors implementing a high asking price to start a bidding war for OG because the Raptors likely aren't in any rush to move him, and it's possible even the Raptors know they won't get that kind of haul for him. But why not shoot for the sky to see what sticks in assessing his trade market? For me, I don't see a chance where OG Anunoby fetches you 3 first-round picks. I would say at most you could get 2 first-round picks for him, and even that is a stretch at this point. The next guy on this list, one of my favorite players in the league, and yes, I'm somewhat biased, and that's Alex Caruso. Caruso is one of the feistiest defenders you'll ever see. Never quits on a play, is incredible at staying on his man, but also has the awareness and IQ to play great defense off the ball and getting in passing lanes, getting deflections, leading to turnovers, getting steals, and turning defense into offense. His overall offensive production, yes, has dipped a bit this season, but he's still one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA, leading the league in steal percentage, steals per 36 minutes and per 100 possessions, and second in the entire league in defensive box plus minus. Hustle player, vocal leader on the court, high IQ. Now, I don't think the Bulls will actually ship out Alex Caruso because he's on such a team-friendly deal, but because there is a lot of interest in him, it's been reported the Bulls are seeking 2 first-round picks for Alex Caruso. What I will say is if the Bulls can get 2 first-round picks for Caruso, you pull that trigger, especially when the Bulls don't have much draft capital to work with in the near future. To get some picks back in what is really a lost season at this point for the Bulls would be a huge pickup for them. But come on now, no one is giving up 2 first-round picks for Alex Caruso. Likely just another situation similar to the Raptors where the front office is setting the price high to gauge the overall interest and market value of their players and aren't really, in fact, looking to move them unless it's for a steal of a price. John Collins is another one. Man has been in trade rumors for a while now. The Hawks offered him a big extension just a few years back. Hasn't really worked out for them thus far. Still a solid player, still productive, but not really looking like the future star player that I think the Hawks thought he was going to become after his third season in the league when he was putting up 21 and 10. I'll be shocked if Collins isn't moved by the deadline, but even if he does in fact get moved, it won't be for what the Hawks are seeking in exchange for him. Their initial asking price was 3 first-round picks for John Collins, since, they needed to regain all the picks that they shipped out to get DeJounte Murray. Then they realized that was delusional of an asking price for someone like John Collins, who has started regressing, so they reduced it to 2 first-round picks, still way too much. Maybe if this was a couple years ago when Collins was playing well and his value was much higher, but not when his trade value is this low, and the Hawks have very little leverage considering everyone around the league knows Atlanta is looking to move him. Another one that I saw the other day, and it was so bad that I feel like this has to be a joke, but it came from Shams Charania in his trade deadline overview column, and Shams, of course, is one of the most reputable, incredible media personalities in the business, and according to him, the Dallas Mavericks are open to moving Dorian Finney-Smith for a star player. Yes, you heard that right, Dorian Finney-Smith for a star player. I mean, it has to be a joke, and I can't be the only one that thinks this, and if I'm getting punked by Ballsack Sports or something and didn't read the fine print in the article, then please let me know, but what is this? Is this the Mavericks' desperate attempt to get a star power type player around Luka because they've built a trash team around him, and he's eventually going to ask out for a trade if they don't do something about it? But on what planet does one think that they can get a star player for Dorian Finney-Smith? I could maybe see it if the guy had a ton of upside potential and was 20 years old, but he's 29. For all intents and purposes, he's already hit his ceiling. There has to be something that I'm missing on that one. Another player who continues to be in trade rumors, even though he was just signed to an extension, is the Pistons' Bojan Bogdanovic. I was a little surprised when the Pistons offered him a contract extension. Well, I was actually surprised when they made the trade for him in the first place because he didn't at all fit their timeline and their rebuild. But it makes more sense now, extend him so that it's more enticing of a trade chip for a team looking to contend rather than getting him on an expiring contract. And Bogdanovic has been playing very well for the Pistons. He's leading the team in scoring, putting up over 21 points per game on very high efficiency, shooting 48% overall and 41% from 3 on near 6 attempts per game. It's possible this dude could finish the season in the 50-40-90 club. Still doesn't play a lick of defense. Boggles my mind for his size. He can't block a shot to save his life and can barely rebound the ball as well. But for a team looking for a sharpshooter to help space the floor, Bojan is your guy. That being said, though, it's been reported the Pistons are looking for a first-round pick and an unprotected first-round pick at that. And as great of a season as Bogdanovic has had thus far, putting up career highs in scoring and efficiency, his defense is so bad that it can make him a liability in the playoffs, especially when his shots aren't falling down. And asking for an unprotected first-round pick for a guy who's soon to be 34 years old is a huge gamble for any team willing to take that on. And look, the other thing I'll say about teams getting so heavy on trading away picks, because I talked about this before in a prior video, and the landscape of the overall trade market changing in terms of teams being willing to shell out multiple first-round picks on one player. How eventually that high inflated market of draft capital is going to simmer down, because it's more than just mortgaging your future to get a win now piece. It's also the fact that because of the Stepien rule, in which teams cannot trade, or not able to trade first round picks in consecutive years, when you trade 2, 3, or 4 picks for 1 or even 2 players, you not only limit yourself in building for the future by moving those picks, but you also limit your ability to make meaningful trades going forward that entice other teams when you have no draft capital to work with in a trade. For example, the Minnesota Timberwolves traded 4 first-round picks. It was technically 5 because they also included Walker Kessler, who had just been drafted in that first round, but they traded 4 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert. Those are in 2023, 25, 27, and 29. All those picks are going to the Jazz. The next first-round pick the Wolves can trade isn't until 2031. Anthony Edwards will be going into his 11th season in the league by then. If there's a big trade that they're looking to make to help beef up their roster even further, they have to do it by way of the players they have on their roster or through second-round picks. Now, of course, they can acquire first-round picks from other teams in trade and trade those later on down the line, but I'm looking more at this from the perspective of them being buyers, considering they kind of made that trade for Rudy Gobert to go all in, so they should be expected to be buyers in improving their roster even further, even though it hasn't really worked out for them thus far. And buyers aren't really looking for picks. They're looking to bring in big names and shipping out picks to do that. But they can't do that. They can't make any kind of trade as a buyer when they don't have draft assets to sell. The same thing goes for the Hawks. The same thing goes for the Cavs, although the Cavs are in decent shape with their roster that they have both for now and for the future. The same applies to the Bulls even. Like, even if the Bulls wanted to bring in some additional talent, say a Bojan Bogdanovic, because they need shooting, they don't have first-round picks to work with to send to the Pistons. The soonest one they can send is in 2027, which, when it's that far out into the future, becomes much less enticing for teams trying to acquire the draft picks. If anything, because of the way teams are trading away their draft picks like candy, the Stepien rule is going to reshape the overall trade market, as teams, simply put, aren't going to be able to make trades when they're unable to move their picks well out into the future. Which again is why I think this fad of teams trading away draft picks like they're going out of style will soon change, as franchises will be more cautious going forward before they choose to move their first round picks without any second thought to that decision. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think the asking price for some of these players on the chopping block as we head into the trade deadline are just getting a little out of control? Let me know in the comments, and as always, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.